Hi everybody, it's your weather woman, meteorologist Amy Metz. I'm on my green screen today. I'm going to play a video behind me and just know that this was taken about 15 minutes earlier. I'm trying some new methods here. We're going to discuss the aurora forecast, seeing not really any clouds in the central states. So, being said that there is aurora in the forecast, unfortunately, our cyclone development, all of these purple spots that were there in the South Pacific, can get intensified from these geomagnetic storms. So we see spikes in the density and the velocity. That's how fast and how much of our solar wind has different solar particles in it that can increase how hot our atmosphere is. So when we get these high-speed streams coming toward Earth, we were that green dot that can intensify things. Current time 5:50 in Fiji. This is November 12th. So here where I am in the States, you'll see some things do say November 11th. That's because I'm in Georgia, where we also get storms like Fiji is about to have. There's been a ton of rain, and that means that the soil is wet. Once we get strong winds and ground has already been saturated, that's when you see the most amount of wind damage from fallen trees. So looking at all these purple lines, these are where these tropical disturbances have been moving. A lot of heavy rainfall, but not strong winds with these storms. Now, as this continues to slowly drift toward Fiji, this is where we could have some trouble, especially with all those solar particles coming into play. So pushing through with these wind gusts, we can see that these purples are about 75 kilometers, or we have a key code here too. We're looking for winds more than 100 kilometers per hour. So unfortunately, there could be gusts very easily around 160, up to 200 if things get strong enough to form into a stronger cyclone. So as we continue to look at different levels here, first we'll start at the surface with these wind gusts and play this model through. This is on that East Coast time, so bump ahead about half a day for Fiji local time, but we're watching this tropical disturbance continue to get stronger and push toward the south. Unfortunately, that is leaving Fiji in its path, and I want to show you back behind. These are going to play an integral role in where this cyclone goes, because we have very large pressure systems. There's been a few of them. One is going to be drifting away as we head into next week, but this very large pressure system here over closer to the Cook Islands, that's going to help push this storm back a little bit. If it can't keep moving and moving, it's going to end up growing over Fiji. So unfortunately, that's what we have to look forward to here. I want to help you guys prepare and not, worry about what's coming, but just get ready for it. So if we look up a little bit higher, these are called the steering winds, 600 millibars or so. We see that there's a lot of air pushing that way, but up as we continue to look around, we're going to have winds then that are going to cause a little bit of trouble here, because it's up in the jet level now where we're a little higher in the sky. This is very strong wind. When it's going straight across, not that big of a deal. That's why we saw all those thunderstorms just kind of moving around here. But when we get these kinks, when we have this low pressure system pushing back into the one here, and this starts to bow, that's where we have our problems. So in the northern hemisphere, we look for U shapes that cause the most trouble. And in Fiji, that's what's coming your way, but it's the back side that's going to affect you. Whereas in the United States, it would be that front side because we're in the northern hemisphere. So everything's a little bit opposite, but basically, as you're starting to get that kink right now, again, back to now, there's no kink, but we do get a small kink before the storm gets to Fiji. The other most important thing with these storms, that water temperature has to be 26 degrees or more. On the backside of Fiji, these eastern portions, some of those areas like Suva, a little bit lower right now, around 26 degrees Celsius. Same with down below into New Caledonia. If we're not above 26 degrees, you cannot be getting tropical cyclone development. So I'll let you take that in there. Hurricane facts, if you find something with a .gov source, you can usually trust that, but not everything out there is going to be absolutely true. So that is something that's been studied for a long time. Right around 26 degrees means you can get these cyclones. So as that storm moves closer toward southern Fiji, it will dissipate. But because we've had these coronal mass ejections, we're looking at the Space Weather Prediction Center, SWPC is what we call it. We've had protons enter our atmosphere, X-ray flux. These things that send solar charged particles our way are actually measured by scientists. And so once they interact with Earth, it's been studied by many, many people. I'll share more about this on my group Space and Earth Weather. But it has been shown that we have rapid intensification of hurricanes, cyclones getting much stronger, that the models are not forecasting to get stronger. So I want you to be aware, while we have a weak cyclone forecast, that rapid intensification could very well become a problem because of that solar wind. All of that streaming particle causing aurora has been shown to also increase those geomagnetic storms triggering, triggered by the coronal mass ejections, that high speed solar wind triggering the rapid intensification of cyclones. So just be on guard in Fiji. I want everybody to know we do have a storm that's going to get close. It could make a landfall. Chances are, if this solar storm also passes by tonight and causes aurora in the northern latitudes that I'll share, then unfortunately there's a good chance we could also have this rapid intensification of the cyclone getting much stronger. So go ahead, let me know if you have any questions down below. I am live right now. And it does take a few minutes for things to show up, usually with those questions. But I have that open on my end. And you can let me know where you're watching from. Hi, Jeff from North Dakota. So you get to enjoy that aurora tonight. It's so nice that so many people, that's right behind me now. So many people don't have clouds. So we're going to have a nice big show of aurora, probably even down to those kind of mid latitudes. Me and Georgia, not going to see it, but that's just going to loop behind me. And Robert's asking if the sun is more active. Let me see if I can is more active than before. Yeah, earlier decades, the solar activity, we do have, hi from Fiji, nice to see you, Kabueli. I need to come to Fiji and learn how to say all your names, make sure I'm not mixing them up. But yeah, those solar cycles, I could actually switch here on my screen to show the solar cycles, but our activity is increasing. So if I go ahead, and I thought about setting this up, but I didn't, I could have a screen share. So it'll take a minute to do, but in that case, I could have what I normally do going on, where I am kind of controlling everything. That movie playing behind me, I could switch to that screen share. So once I pull up solar cycle progression, we are right now in solar cycle 25. Good morning, Fiji. Bula bula. Yeah, it's very early there. People in the States are itching for their aurora, though, tonight. And I just shared about how aurora can actually intensify our hurricanes and cyclones. So you can go ahead and scoot back in this video if you want to see about that and you're just joining. But instead, what I'm going to do then behind me now is dig into these solar cycles. I'm going to share a window. So it'll take me a second here to get my software to now show a window capture. And I have that set up right there. Hey, that one's a pretty one. Something I made. So let's see here. New things don't always work right away. I just tried sharing something and it's not going to work that way, but I have another way to make it work, a screen share. I'm using OBS software to get everything laid on top of each other with the green screen. So some of it works, sometimes some of it doesn't. I have like an older version. So now you see all this wild stuff behind me, but I'll get that all situated. Really fun. TV things. So this is now a screen share. So you're gonna end up seeing the whole screen except for, let's see what I blacked out. It's ending right, I see where now. Okay, so I'll put this here and then you can see my solar cycles. It's kind of a lengthy process, and then if I keep my chat box up, I'll have that. So this is something I've never set up before, so bear with me now that I'm getting that done all in front of you. So yeah, Bula Bula, good morning, Fiji. Yeah, again, go back earlier in the video if you want that Fiji forecast, because what I'm talking about now is that solar cycle 25 activity. It's stuff on the sun that actually does increase the pressure system. So I am worried that we will have a kind of a strong cyclone in Fiji, very close by, with about 160 kilometer per hour winds there. Talking about a Cat 2 or Cat 3, Cyclone Mal. And with the beginning of solar cycle, let's see, my screen shares there, so I have to keep it there. We have the progression. So Robert was asking me, are we more active than in decades past? Not necessarily. We're going to look at how it's been progressing based on what people have been forecasting, how many sunspots we've had. And so the solar cycles are really based on how many sunspots do we have on the sun, how many little areas of north and south points with magnetic storming. So we've had a lot of sunspots back in June. That, if I want to increase what we're looking at here, he says, compared to past decades, you can kind of see that toggle down even below. Let's keep in mind here, we've had people looking at the sun with their telescopes, coloring whatever they saw since the mid 1800s. But beside that, we're trying different methods of getting information earlier than that. So it's not exactly homogeneous information prior to some of these periods back in the 1800s. But looking at that kind of activity, let's see here, from 1910 to 2040, we see the biggest spike in the 1960s, mid 1950s and 1960s. There were a lot. Now, solar cycle 25, we're seeing about half that much activity with how many little storms there are on the sun. This doesn't mean that we can't get some big, massive solar storm leave the sun and affect us, which I'm making a video about now. It could send satellites crashing down to Earth. It could send power outages. There are a lot of people working to make sure things like that don't happen. But as we start to see more and more sunspots, we just have more opportunity for additional radio blackouts, where people who might be on the ground trying to respond to a flood in Fiji, maybe there's a big cyclone that hits and people need to go help rescue people. All of a sudden, people are radioing each other and then they cannot hear each other anymore because a solar storm caused a radio blackout. It does stuff where the ionosphere gets too many particles, and then all of a sudden the signals get absorbed rather than bouncing off or get impeded. So it's nice to know that, we have a lot of people helping to make sure that those kinds of things are, how bummer that that's lagging. Maybe that's ever since I went ahead and did the screen share. So I will switch it back to the other video and just leave it on that and see if kind of do this as a control, and I'll see if that makes any difference when I go back later and just kind of check how this video is, because eventually what I'd like to do is be able to do my forecasts here on the green screen, but I can see, yeah, it's lagging a little as I'm moving. It's getting choppy. So that whole bit about Fiji and the cyclone activity, what's happening, and how this geomagnetic storm not only will bring aurora, but could also be intensifying that cyclone into a severe cyclone, that's all at the beginning of this video. So you can go back and check that out. And I'll continue to give you updates both here and on YouTube. So go ahead and follow me now in order to get more information. Don't hesitate to ask questions if you have any, or also share information about where shelters are, how people can stay safe through all of this. Enjoy the weather and stay safe.